everyone. As most of you probably already know, I'm from the United States, and oh, thank you, that's wonderful. I was just about to say that living abroad has really given me a lot of perspective about how Americans are perceived in other countries. Yeah, you know, I have found that just following the American news without living there really does make Americans look like a pretty crazy people. I mean, just from the sheer volume of gun crime that's reported in the American press, I mean, I can understand how people overseas would think that each and every American must have a gun registered in their name. And that's not true. I mean, I'm from the United States. I don't have a gun registered in my name. I have like 5. No, I'm only joking. None of my guns are registered. I found a loophole. See, I don't need to register my guns because I just filed off the serial numbers. I was thinking back to another loophole I found when I was in college after I had picked up the habit of using Jesus Christ as a curse word from my roommate. He would swear a lot when he played Xbox Live, and I thought it was a little weird that his favorite curse was Jesus Christ because he was Jewish. I mean, that'd be the equivalent of me stubbing my toe and bellowing, "Ah, Moses!" You know? But at least, you know, my roommate could get away with saying Jesus Christ in front of his family. Whereas when I went home for Christmas, I had to figure out a way to avoid taking the Lord's name in vain. What I figured out was the loophole that I found is that I could, instead of saying Jesus Christ, just say Jesus wept. You see, that's the shortest verse in the Bible. It's from the crucifixion. So I figured if I said that, I wouldn't be swearing. Technically, I would just be quoting scripture. It would seem like the perfect way to ease myself out of the habit, you know, because I would have time to catch myself after the Jesus part had already slipped out. But it was a little weird. I mean, not everyone knows the Bible as well as I do, so in a lot of cases, people just thought I thought Jesus was crying because, like, my macaroni and cheese was too hot. On a few occasions, I actually didn't quite catch myself in time and ended up saying, Jesus crept. It sounded weird to me because in all the times I've asked myself, what would Jesus do? I've never thought, in this situation, Jesus would creep. But I was thinking, if after the crucifixion and the resurrection, if Jesus had thought to himself, what would Sam do? I can assure you he would have crept up and popped out at all his friends who thought he was dead. I mean, in that case, Jewish people would have been the very first ones to use his name as an exclamation of surprise and annoyance. I mean, they would all have gone, Jesus Christ! Quit creeping around! You scared the crap out of me, Jesus! For Moses' sake! Anyways, my brother, he found a kitten on the street the other night and brought it up to our apartment. He said to me, like, don't worry, we'll just give it some food and then put it back on the street where we found it. As you may have surmised, my brother and I are now stuck with a kitten. We did try to leave it on the street where we found it, but it kept following us back to our house. And we tried to close the gate on it, but it was just too heartbreaking. So then we tried going back to the place where we found it and just waiting for it to get bored and wander off. The kitten didn't do that. The kitten was like, hey guys, what are we waiting for? This is taking a long time. Hope you don't mind if I just climb up into your lap and purr for a while. Yeah, you may think we're real saps for, picking up this kitten off the street, but what I learned is that actually over generations, through their interaction with humans, kittens have been artificially selected to cry at the same register, at the same pitch as a human baby. So really we're evolutionarily inclined to care for these things. You know, it really has. Caring for this kitten has stirred up all these paternal instincts that I didn't know I had. It doesn't make me feel like I'm ready to care for any human kids anytime soon. I mean, with a baby cat, you can just leave it on your porch with a can of tuna fish when you go out. It would be frowned upon to do that with a human baby. I mean, you'd have to leave it with some applesauce or something. A spoon. You know, and the other thing is, you can't watch a horror film with an American child. I'm sorry. You can't watch a horror film with a human child. You can watch anything you want with a kitten. People will still, though, it turns out, people will still ask you why you brought it to the cinema. I suppose some things would be easier with a human child. I mean, if you put a human kid in a stroller, you can still be attractive to women. The minute you put a kitten into a stroller, attractive women will cross the street when they see you to walk in the sun on the shit canal side. But you know what's cool though is that it turns out that this whole humans getting tricked by cats who cry like babies thing, it's not a one-way street. I recently read about a 12-year-old Ethiopian girl who was miraculously saved from being abducted and forced into a marriage by a group of lions. They attacked her captors, and they guarded her for 3 days, and then until the police showed up and found her, at which point it's reported that they left her like a gift and evaporated back into the savannah. So the scientific explanation is that the cries of a young human girl are similar in register, similar in pitch, to those of a lion cub. I don't think that explanation actually takes anything away from the story. I mean, maybe it wasn't a miracle per se, but it's still pretty cool that our two species can mistakenly care for each other's young in times of great vulnerability. I mean, those lions took care of that girl for the same reason that my brother brought that kitten to our apartment. It makes me wonder if those lions' roommates reacted the same way. Were they like, oh no, you're not bringing that thing back in the den. Hey man, you know if you feed it, it's just gonna come right back here. Every time it wants some more mangled gazelle carcass. Hey dude, I'm pretty sure my girlfriend is allergic to people. But anyways, I mean, one thing's for sure, when those police showed up to collect that girl, those lions must have been like, oh wow, this is a miracle, you know? I thought that thing was never going to get bored and wander off. We better evaporate into the savannah before it finds us. Thank you.